So thanks again for joining. I hope under this situation you have a nice place where you sit and watch the webinar. Now it's a difficult situation right now. So usually we go to events, do meetups, and do webinars like this. And now we decide, okay, we will actually, based on the situation, have more live webinars like this on a bi-weekly cycle frequency. And this will be the first one where we're going to talk about the top 10 essential features a cellular connectivity provider for IoT should have. And actually, I'm going to give you an outlook of the 10 most used features actually of our customers, how they're leveraging them by real use cases. The meeting will be recorded, so you can watch it also afterwards. I'm currently sitting in my daughter's room, so I hope I will not get interrupted, but you know how the situation is. So we'll just take it from here. Okay, and with that, I'm going to start with the presentation. So it's going to be a very simple agenda today. I'm just going to give you a short introduction about EMnify for people that might not really can do anything with the name of EMnify, what we do. And then I'm going to present the top 10 features as promised in the invite. And at the end, we're going to have a Q&A session. For the Q&A session, you can already ask questions within the questions tab on GoToWebinar. So whenever you have a question, you can type a question, and I will come back to them at the end of the session. Also, if you have any troubles with audio, please let us know, and there's someone else on the line who will help you on this. Okay, great. Then let's start with the introduction to EMnify. So EMnify is a cloud connectivity provider, as we call ourselves, but at the end we are, let's say, a cellular connectivity provider which is dedicated for IoT. We were founded in 2014, where, let's say, cloud AWS had its birth. And that's when the founders decided we're going to do something completely new, and we're going to provide cellular connectivity out of cloud infrastructure. And within these now 5.5 years, we onboarded 3 million SIM cards on our platform with over 1,000 customers. I think currently it's even more than 1,100 customers. And we offer our solution directly to enterprises, but also to other, we call channel partners, to other communication service providers that resell the solution. We are based in Germany, so my home office is in Berlin, and also that's where our headquarters is, but we also have a development office in Würzburg in Bavaria. And for our 24/7 operations, we have also in Philippines a support part of our support team. We are now around about 100 employees, and 30% of them are in R&D. So what is EMnify? So EMnify, I think everyone that is familiar with IoT and is searching for a connectivity provider at one point ends up with searching for a connectivity provider that offers connectivity across the world, because usually our customers are not shipping their customers only to a certain country or certain city. They're selling their solutions globally. And also 80% of our customers come to us because they are unsatisfied with their local operators because they just have one network. So this is why we offer in 180, 540 networks, so multiple networks per country, so that your IoT solution is working wherever you ship your device. So this is some of our customers that we have. So we're really horizontal. We're not specializing on any vertical, but we have customers in all the different verticals. Very good relations, and as you can see here, for people that might not be as familiar with IoT solution, we see the trend that IoT is actually really resulting in a B2B2B business where device manufacturers, IoT solution providers sell their devices as a service and to other businesses that again build services for other businesses. And this is really what we believe is IoT is about. We're not talking about smart watches or anything, but really about businesses that are connecting products to create a benefit for others. We also have some B2C use cases, but that is still, let's say, the minor part. Yeah, here. Okay. So today I'm going to talk about the top 10 cellular features. I want to, because we have, let's say, reserved already some topics for the next upcoming webinars, I'm not going to talk about security features, because that's, let's say, a very important topic, and I didn't want to mix it with other cellular features. So there we will have another webinar on the 6th of May. And on the 22nd of April, we are going to talk about all the different technologies, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, and also LTM and narrowband IoT, so low power solutions. And so that's why I'm not going to talk about these as well today. I try to make it somehow tangible during this webinar. What do these features do? And I'm trying to use an example of a payment terminal provider. So someone that is producing these payment terminal providers, these payment terminals, and includes a SIM card to get the connectivity. Usually these providers are sending their devices across the globe, wherever any business requires payment services. So this is a typical B2B2B business. So let's start. So the first one is super easy, and I think I already shown in the introduction. So the automate different processes. And so that with that, you actually are enabled to really scale business and to better your connectivity costs. So you can activate SIM contracts whenever the payment terminal is really sent to the customer, or you can even, with integrating the API, you can into the application, then even the bar owner or whoever is using the payment terminal and is ending then the contract with the payment terminal, this could also trigger already the SIM contract to be paused. So this is a very standard use case, and this is, let's say, the first major step for cellular connectivity providers to go into the IoT space. So there are several of these offerings that have a portal on top. But let's go a little bit deeper. And here I'm going to show you an example of one of our customers, actually, where we notified the customer that there's something going wrong in their application. So you can see here, this is in the regular data volume consumption per hour for this specific customer. And then on July 30th, they had a huge increase of traffic, which got noticed by our support team. And we reached out to the customer clarifying what has happened here. And basically they deployed a new application version. And this application version was not properly processing the data that was coming in from the devices, and the devices try to resend the data over and over again, and with that creating huge costs for this customer because of the data. Yeah, so this is something that can happen. We see this quite regularly. Sometimes it's about data volume, sometimes it's about signaling. And there is one very straightforward feature that we offer, or that is, let's say, needed to prevent these issues, and that is service limits. And 51% of this of our customers, you can see here in the upper right, the percentage of users that are of our customers that are using this feature. Because actually, I wanted to use also this webinar that let's say if customers dial in, that they also understand what other customers are using from our portfolio, and what they can use to improve their setup. So 51% of our customers are using the service limits, and it's very straightforward. Actually, you can configure how much data volume can be used up by a device in a given period of time, and with that limit, let's say the costs or that can be happening if such an issue is happening on the application or on the device side. If there's a firmware update and the device just sends immense amount of data, you can prevent these overusage costs. So let's go to the next thing. I don't know if you know this guy here, the T-Rex, the Google T-Rex. So it's sorry, sorry, sorry about that. I was supposed to take the audio track off, but it didn't work, unfortunately. Okay, so you can see here sometimes if you're, let's say, using your personal smartphone, you have sometimes connection to the internet. You know, your device is showing bars and also mobile connectivity, data connectivity, but at the end there's really no internet coming up, and this can happen. Yeah, so this can happen very, very infrequent. So it's like you know, less than 0.1%, but sometimes just devices are connected to a network properly attached, and should be able to create a data session, but are not. And if you then see what a payment terminal provider is doing, is they actually have these FAQ sections, and then they give, let's say, 1 to 5 list. What are the steps you can do to improve the situation? And at the end, there is this suggestion to select the network manually. So usually these payment terminal providers, they already allow to use multiple networks. So then, let's say the bar owner or the cab driver is using the payment terminal and can use a different mobile operator to connect to that network and try again. This is already nice, but now really think about it. IoT is very, very seldom about devices that have a screen or where someone is pushing buttons, right? So that is just one of the use cases. So at the end, you need to have some mechanism to steer your where your device connects to. And there's this network blacklisting feature, which our customers are also quite frequently using. So that's 41% of our customers are using it. Doesn't mean that they use it for all devices, but usually what's happening is that one of these customers that have this bad experience, they're calling in, and then the person that is giving support blocks the network where this device is currently attached to, and then device tries the next one. And this is already helping a lot of our customers. So they block, especially in stationary use cases, the one network, so that, let's say, the payment terminal that is in a bar somewhere underground is not connecting anymore to Vodafone, but then takes the next network with 3UK, and then there it's working. So sometimes this happens that even the one network seems to be a little bit stronger in downlink, and that's why the device takes up this network. There's uplink interference, which prevents it really to send data. So now the real power already comes in if you enable your customers also to use this network blacklisting functionality. So currently, if someone needs to call in, that's bad customer experience, and you also need some support personnel to do this, but actually you can expose the functionality of network blacklisting also to your customers using our API. And with that, actually a bar owner or someone that is using a device can directly blacklist the network within your application. Yeah, so it might not be on the payment terminal, but on their web browser when they configure your device. Okay, coming back to T-Rex. So that you have no internet connection. So as already said, they have this 5-step FAQ approach, and then if nothing works, if nothing of this works, please call the help desk immediately. Okay, now what happens? They call you, and what do you do? So how can you really troubleshoot connectivity? Yeah, especially with, let's say, local operators. A lot of our customers had a lot of challenges about this. If they had a connectivity issue, they needed to call into the operator, into a hotline, explaining their use case, which was not perfectly understood. And yeah, at the end, they needed to talk to someone to really do something. Yeah. But what we are about is we really want to empower your business, your support team to really something to help the customers. And I'm going to show you actually now 3 features which will empower your service personnel to troubleshoot connectivity. So one thing is signaling events. What is signaling events? Actually, it's um, a very, let's say, deep or a view on how the device communicates to the network without really sending data. Yeah? Currently, if you use the device, you just see the data that is coming into your application, but actually the device is already communicating with the mobile network before. And having these signaling events available for you to seize them already gives your support personnel an indication what is going wrong. For example, it could be that the device tries to send data in or scan the network in too frequent times. Yeah, so always doing what we call a location update, and with that, the device will not have enough time to establish a data session, or the service limits that I talked about could be reached, and that's why the reason why the data is not being sent, or the device even has moved to a different country and which is not part of the tariff, or which you actually did not allow the customer to use the device in. And this gives your support personnel directly information about what's going wrong with the connectivity, and they can, based on that, do the counter actions. And one of the counter actions is also reset connectivity. So this is another feature that actually 23% of our customers regularly use. So usually these are large customers, because let's say the events that in the situations that you need usually have a large fleet of devices, and it happens very, very infrequent. So, but it is necessary if you want to take care of a specific customer. Yeah? And here, basically, resetting connectivity, what this means is that we will actually send from our mobile network infrastructure a specific message down to the antenna or to the visited radio network that wipes out the state of the device in that network. Yeah, and with that, the device can, let's say, get a refresh or restart from the network side. So what you would do on the device would be, let's say, to have this soft reset or restart on the device, but actually that does not solve anything on the network side. On the network side, we do this soft reboot with sending this map cancel message, which is, let's say, better understandable under reset connectivity. And definitely this is something your support personnel needs so that they can help customers that are stuck in these connectivity states. And with that, I come to the sixth feature, which 35% of our customers using on a regular basis. Especially in the beginning of a solution, a lot of customers, they are, let's say, used to developing the solution in a private lab where they have direct access to the device. They can log in, they can read out the logs, they can do specific configuration commands. And then the device goes into the field and they lose complete control of the device. So they will not be able to log in, read the logs, do any configurations. And this is something which the support team needs to run troubleshooting. So there are a lot of solutions out there in the market, but there are different challenges in the IoT space. Yeah? So usually these remote access solutions are more meant for desktop applications or for heavy processing devices. But on the IoT side, you don't want to install a VPN client on the IoT device. First, it's questionable if you get something for the platform. It takes up processing resources, and it actually also raises the data costs because the VPN will create an overhead when sending the data. Yeah. So, and what we offer is actually that you can get a virtual private network with your devices that allows you to remotely access the device. So with that, you can directly access the device as if it would be in your lab. And so you can really log into the static IP address that we give the IoT device, which is unique, and run your commands as if it would be local. Something that's here, let's say, special about EMnify with other operators, you usually need to have to set up a private APN and have to, let's say, get special permissions to use private static IP addresses. With EMnify, this is not needed. You don't need a private APN, and static private IP addresses are actually given away for free because we really think this is best practice when running an IoT solution. There's not a use case where we think this does not bring benefits for the customer, and this is a critical functionality. Okay, so I have shown you three features that your support team can be doing to then really help out the customer when the customer gets in trouble. Then I come to a different feature, and I just took a screenshot from a forum where this guy Mindtrain says, get free internet from SIM card and Lime Scooter's GPS module. Yeah, so it's I guess one common concern that if you use a plug-in SIM card that can be also, let's say, taken out of the device, that customers can use this SIM card for their own purposes. And in these Lime scooters, the cellular connectivity provider did not protect in any way this usage, and then you have these phones that are really, let's say, misusing the cellular connectivity for their own purposes. And there's actually very standard feature, actually, the EMI Lock. And the EMI Lock, the EMI stands for the device identity. So it's the identifier of each and every single device has a specific EMI. And with this EMI Lock, you can lock a SIM card to a specific device, so that the SIM card will only work on this device. And I was surprised on our customer side, 20% of our customers are using this feature, so 80% not. Yeah, so which I would say is might be concerning, because it really gives people that you send the device to, or people who steal the devices, they can use the SIM cards for their private use, and with that incur high charges for you. Then there's another feature which I didn't want to talk a lot about commercials, but I thought this is maybe something to share that you should be aware of. So we see regularly from our customers that have several devices that let's say the main part of the devices they have roughly about the same data consumption. Yeah, and then for whatever reason, if the chipset is wrong or something on the firmware, there are a couple of devices that are just overspending. They're using a lot more data than other devices. So this is hard if you, let's say, if you don't know which device it is. Yeah, you want to have that visibility. Obviously, you get this visibility in our portal, but also, let's say, to plan the data plan for these devices. Yeah, and we wanted to make it simple, and so we said we provide active SIM data pooling. So what does it mean? Actually, you even if you purchase a data plan of 3 or 5 megabytes per SIM card from us, actually the data is pooled across your active SIM cards. So let's assume you purchased 1,000 SIM cards from us, but actually only 100 are active, each with 5 megabytes. Then you can use up these 500 megabytes across these 100 SIM cards. So it's really across active SIM cards. So every time you activate a new SIM card, it will actually increase the pool. And with that, all the extra costs will be balanced out. And these Monday devices will not cause you extra costs, but will actually be included in your regular charge. So quite a nice feature. Why only 71% of our customers are using it? Because we actually also offer pay-as-you-go tariffs where you don't have a, let's say, pre-set up data plan of 5 megabytes, but you pay for the data that you consume. Some customers, they prefer that way because they don't really know how much data their specific device is using or have specific use cases that require this. Okay, then there's another feature, very common use case. So I took this into these top 10 features. So a lot of our customers are using SMS for configuration changes. And we still experience quite a few customers that are actually doing configuration changes from their mobile device. So they take their handset and send to their IoT devices a specific configuration change or an SMS for status check. And yeah, this is how they operate their business. But now think about if you have thousands of devices and you need to always type in these SMS from your phone, or also what this means from your phone's planned cost if you send these amount of devices. So it's not really scalable. So what is really a key feature for more than 20% of our customers is the SMS API and portal. So customers are using our portal where you can, let's say, on a few clicks, send an SMS to the device, and with that apply configuration changes to the device. So one very standard use case is the initial setup of the APN, so of the access point name, which needs to be configured on every device to let the device know to which cellular connectivity provider to connect to. And then customers send these SMS out via the portal or integrating the API. So every time a device is shipped to a customer, the API is called so that then the APN is configured via SMS. Yes, and with that, I come actually to my favorite feature, and to the last but not least one. And I found a nice article on speedtest.net where let's say travelers, not a topic right now, unfortunately, but where travelers are looking into roaming, let's say, performance of their cellular connectivity when they go on vacation. Yeah, I mean, this is not relevant for your vacation, but actually for your IoT devices. Yeah, if you send your IoT devices to out throughout the world, you need to consider that the device is roaming, and with that, there's one thing to consider, and that is latency. Yeah. So as you can see in this article, latency is a major pain point, but it actually comes because all the data, if you are roaming in, let's say you're roaming in the US, but you actually have a European connectivity provider, then the data would be brought back from US to Europe and then back to the US. So with that, you have 2 times intercontinental propagation delay, and with that, you have large latency, which not only, let's say, puts additional limits on your application, but also impacts your data performance. You can expect less throughput in these situations. So this is what, let's say, every connectivity provider does. They have this latency effect, except cloud connectivity providers like EMnify, because actually these cloud connectivity providers, they can provide local breakout. So we don't only have our mobile connect infrastructure in a specific country or region. We have our mobile network infrastructure across the world in all major regions, and always the data is broken out locally. So we have basically one on every major continent, and the SIM cards, they don't send the data back to Berlin, to where our headquarters is, but if your SIM is in US, it sends the data to our US infrastructure and keeps the data locally, which is also a good message to your customers if you think about privacy and data concerns. Yes, with that, I would conclude. Actually, this was already the last feature. And thank you for joining the webinar. I see everyone stayed online. We actually have gained a couple of attendees throughout the webinar. Thank you for watching. And I also want you to make aware of the upcoming webinars on the 22nd of April and 6th of May. So I think for the 22nd of April, you can already register for the low power and 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G topics. You can also shoot me an email if you want to have specific questions I should ask or that I should respond to within the webinar. You can send me an email to, I don't have my email address on this here, christian.henke@emnify.com. Or also for the top 5 security best practices. They already have, of course, the 5 best practices already set up. But if you have specific questions about security, what to do, shoot me an email or read our new security guide, which gives a comprehensive list of 25 items that you can do to improve your IoT solutions security. Okay, and with that, we would go to the Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please send them in the question chat box. I need to. Okay, so there's one question. Hi, can you clarify on the current situation with Verizon in the US? Yeah, so this is one specific concern that, let's say, involves all connectivity providers. Verizon was a network that we had roaming agreements before, but Verizon is currently negotiating with every connectivity provider in the world their roaming agreements, and with that, the access is currently temporarily not available. We lost the audio feed. I hope that was not. I hope you can hear me still well. From the attendance, it looks like this. Oh, okay. Could it be possible to get the presentation in a PDF format at the end? Yes, so we will distribute the webinar, the recording, the slides, everything in on the page. So you will get this. You will also get an email with the links towards it. Okay, for data limits, if you're using data pooling, can the data limits be enforced at the per device or at the pool level? So both is possible. So on a device limit and on let's say overall overall organization limit. Can we be notified if we reach the data limit, and is there a pre-limit where it will not stop any? Yes, that is. So there is a functionality for quota, which you can get this data limit where you can be informed. There was the question, are all these features available in EMnify by default, or do they come later on? So all of the features I presented are available today. So that's why I also put in how many customers are using them. Hi, sir. Good evening here in the Philippines. What is the most important feature that needs to be addressed by the users? I'm not sure if I understand the question. Let's say if the user of the portal, so one IoT business, I think all of these features that I presented make sense. Yeah, so there's not a single most important feature. I think, of course, if you think about the businesses that you want to work with. Security is a key point, because at the end, it's not only your security of your devices, but if you put the devices into a customer location, this customer should get his service, and also his security should not be enforced. So that's why we also started this webinar on 6th of May. But I could not say which is the most important feature. All of the ones that I presented are very relevant. Are these top 10 tips available on the EMnify website? So yes, they are. We have an extensive knowledge base where customers can search for specific things. Obviously, we have not, let's say, with this, I took the best, did the analysis. So you will have this slide deck afterwards. So definitely then it will be on the website. Will you send invitations for the next webinars via mail? Yes, we will. I hope when you signed up to this webinar that you also gave us the permissions to send you further email. And if you did, then you will get the invitation to the next webinar. Then there's the question about, will you support EUICC? That's twice basically. So EUICC and eSIM. So I'm always, let's say, a little bit careful when talking about eSIM, because eSIM has been previously has been about the embedded SIM, basically a SIM card which you can solder onto the device, and with that, no one can, let's say, rip out the SIM card, but also the embedded SIM is smaller and has, with that some benefits. So eSIM, we of course have standard in our portfolio. EUICC is a SIM card where you can change the operator. Yeah, so you could change from EMnify to Vodafone or something. So we provide EUICC profiles. So for customers that have a EUICC, they can get the EMnify profile and deploy the EMnify profile on the EUICC cards. Because actually, EUICC means the SIM card is not anymore owned by the cellular connectivity provider, but it's actually owned by the customer. I think we will probably have a separate webinar on EUICC, and we can discuss that in detail. Then there's a question about, are you working with multi-IMSI technology or roaming agreement? So good question, also goes in line with EUICC. So EUICC, as said, let's say you can change between different operator profiles. Multi-IMSI is if already the SIM card has different operator profiles installed and you don't need a platform to manage them. So in fact, we are using multi-IMSI. This is why we can just offer larger coverage than single operators. So this gives us also, let's say, from a price, coverage, and technology point of view, an advantage to other providers, because we have a large amount of networks where we, for example, can offer LTE connectivity, because we work with our own roaming agreements and with the ones from our partners. eSIM in terms of soldered in. Yes, that was again the question with regards to EUICC and eSIM. Yes, so we support this as well. Okay, hey, that were very good, great questions. I think I answered them all, and we are pretty much on time. So 45 minutes, I think, is a good time schedule for a webinar. I hope this was enjoyable for you, and for me, it's now at the end of the day, so I will go back to my kids, and yeah, and enjoy the day and keep safe in these times. Thank you.